The Borisoglebsk Aviation Training Center for flight crews, named after Chkalov in Russia, was attacked by two unknown drones at night. According to reports, two drones exploded, causing damage to the building's facade and windows. As can be seen, or rather heard, from the sounds of gunfire in the video, the Russians have set up mobile fire teams to combat drones, following the example of the Ukrainian army. Credit must be given to them. They understand that they don't have many good ideas and development of their own, so it is easier to copy others. Such practices have been around since the Soviet era. The Soviet Union had no qualms about copying absolutely anything. Players, cameras, cars, airplanes, rockets, and so on. But since copies are inferior in quality and expectation to the original in 99% of cases, we see here that the drone's target were hit. Hey, my name is Alex, and this is a quick update on the Russian-Ukrainian war from the perspective of someone living within it. And here is an example of the work of a Ukrainian mobile group, successfully shooting down a cassette bomb RBC-250 in Donetsk region with anti-aircraft installation ZU-32. An aerial bomb is significantly more challenging to target compared to any drone. It is essentially a piece of cast iron packed with explosives. Frankly speaking, shooting down a guided aerial bomb with these types of installations is rare, closer to a stroke of luck. The longer Russians' war with Ukraine lasts, the clearer it becomes that neither side can achieve significant success using all tactics. Tanks and other armored vehicles, aviation and infantry are still important, but more attention is being paid to drones, robotic systems and other unconventional means. As for drones, the main task is to make them as cheap and effective as possible. Of course, there is no miracle, and good things usually come at higher price. But with limited funding, drones have to be put together with what the budget allows. And such situations sometimes turn out to be quite effective. Here is an example of such a simple Ukrainian drone. The operators jokingly call it a freezer because its shape resembles one. So this flying freezer can carry a payload of 25 kg and cover quite large distances. At the same time, it is quite inconspicuous for the enemy air defense systems. Very often, homemade bombs are used with such homemade drones. The options are diverse, depending on the ingenuity and inventiveness. For example, Russian published photo of an unexploded TN-62 anti-tank mine dropped from a Ukrainian octocopter. A pipe and a plastic bottle serve as an improvised tail to ensure that the mine falls edge first for greater accompanying effect during detonation. Handmade drone bombs are evidently progressing in their capabilities as well. It is not uncommon to see footage where a small drone, such as a Mavic, demolished a brick and concrete building, although such destruction is not always achievable even by large-caliber artillery shells. For instance, powerful swifts, as these bombs are called, are often observed in the operation area of the strike UAV squad Magyar Birds in the left bank area of Dnipro River, in the occupied part of the Kherson region. And the Russian army is not standing still, and is trying to develop drone technologies as well. Instances of non-standard drones use are also frequently recorded. In the same direction of the occupied Kherson region, there are frequent cases of the use of non-standard kamikaze drones. These drones are larger, can carry a heavier payload, and therefore potentially cause more damage. They also have a more stable connection with the operator, making them harder to jam with EW means. Therefore, such aircraft are often intercepted by ramming them another of our drones. In the responsibility zone of the Magyar Birds squad, approximately 10 such drones are detected daily. On average, out of these, 3 drones are shot down, another 3 are jammed, and unfortunately 3 still manage to reach their target. Emphasis is also placed on developing the speed of drones. Russia has long been working on using jet engines in drones to replace piston engines. Currently, Russia produces about 30 jets per day, although most of them remain conventional. Increasing in drone speed also requires changing its shape, as forms effective at low speed may not be efficient at high speed, so it is not as simple as it seems. Recorded as a first application of Ukrainian drones with jet engines also. The high-speed, low-altitude flight of several from this series was recently captured on video by residents of Belgorod region, Russia. It is reported that such drone can carry about 20 kg of payload. Also, the work of classic FPV drones on the front lines is difficult to underestimate. Engaging advancing columns, infantry, clearing trenches, mine detection, delivery, all of this and more is within the capabilities of these devices. For example, a standard M67 hand grenade in conjunction with a drone easily destroys a brand new T-32B3 tank from the 2022 model year, value an approximately $1 million. In the past 2 weeks, reconnaissance team have destroyed 4 new tanks using this method, 2 T-90M and 2 T-72, all from the 2022 model year. Drones also encounter more exotic situations than engaging with tanks and BMPs. For instance, on Bakhmut direction, another RBU-6000 reactive depth charge launcher mounted on a wheeled chassis was destroyed by an FPV drone. Interestingly, this marvelous device was designed for naval warfare, but the Russians stuck it on truck chassis. It is intended for destroying submarines and attacking enemy torpedoes, launching depth charge up to a range of 5 kilometers. It seems that Russians are expecting NATO submarines in the steppes of Ukraine. Also, drones are actively used for surveillance and targeting. For example, a Russian electronic warfare complex, presumably RB-341V Layer 3, was spotted by a Ukrainian drone in the occupied part of Zaporizhia Oblast and successfully destroyed with a HIMARS missile. And here, 2 drones were used without the assistance of missiles. 1 drone hit and destroyed the Russian Buk missile system. This is the Ram-2 UAV, a Ukrainian kamikaze drone with an active visual tracking system, powered by the electric motor. Both sides also make use of ground drones, often for mine laying or delivery purpose. For instance, the Ukrainian armed forces target a Russian robotic platform for remote mining using an FPV drone. The Russian had installed 9 mine kits on the ground drone. The danger of such remote mining systems lies in their simplicity, the ability to set up minefields suddenly in the right place and at the right time. Recently, there have been instances of Russian mounting grenade launchers on a robotic chassis in the Avdiivka direction. There are also frequent videos of Ukraine forces using ground drones, mostly as a mine-line drones of kamikaze drones. And to conclude the topic, although it is evident that this topic cannot be concluded, as it will undoubtedly continue to develop intensively. This one case is not just about drones, it is more of Russian attempt to defend against drones. During attacks in the east, an unprecedented Russian tank was discovered, the Turtle tank. Obviously, the Russians were inspired by the inventions from the days of the Roman Empire, such as the formation known as a Roman turtle. They managed to drive around the few fields on this miracle machine, but to say that it was highly effective would be an overstatement. History provides many examples of expensive, heavily armored products being destroyed by much cheaper means, such as tanks by grenades, battleships by bombs and torpedoes, and so on. Here, the Russians attempted to further armor the T-72 tank, attaching an additional roof protection from drones and anti-mine failed for demining. But the result remains the same, it was tracked down by the same drones and destroyed. Meanwhile, the Russians once again carried out a mass nighttime raid with 20 drones of the Shad type and 4 guided anti-aircraft missile S-300 into Ukraine. According to official data, all 20 Shads were shot down by the air defense forces. Regarding the missiles, the Russians hit a 2-story apartment building in Poltava region, where about 30 people live. 1 person was killed and 20 others were injured. Among them were 2 children. In addition, the 3-story houses, 1 4-story house and about a dozen cars were damaged due to the missile strike. The Russians also dropped bombs on the city of Vilopole in Sumy region. Footage of the aftermath of the bombing is available. Frontline city in Donetsk region were actively bombarded as well. The city of Selidove was hit particularly hard. The enemy targeted a residential 9-story building, injuring 5 people. Rescuers saved 4 people, including 1 child. And here the Russians would not be Russians if they could do something well. One bomb, well, at least one that was captured on video, obviously more fell unnoticed, was mishandled by the clumsy Russians somewhere along the way to the bombing site, as it detached in flight and fell on the store in the occupied city of Inakiev. Apparently, this is the same road they used to bomb Selidove. Fortunately, this 1.5-ton bomb did not detonate. And now let's analyze the situation on the front line. The intensity of combat operations remained high east of Terny and the Serebryansky forest on the Liman direction. No changes. The results of the operations by unit of the Ukrainian Defense Forces in the area near settlement of Terny, where for several months Russians have been attempting various assaults on Ukrainian positions. The consequences: dozens of destroyed equipment, a large number of Russian casualties around. Serebryansky forest turned into a swamp in March. A significant portion of the trenches, both our and the enemy's, was flooded, which affected the battles for the Serebryansky forest. South of Bilogorivka, enemy infantry continues assault action on the eastern slope of the Cholk quarry. The 81st Airborne Assault Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces attacked Russian infantry with drone strikes at the point indicated on the map. The battles continue. Direction of Chasiv Yar. Russian troops with motorized infantry units, supported by armored vehicles, advanced westward in the territory of the Stupki-Golubovsk Reserve 2nd, southeast of Chasiv Yar. They progressed up to 1 km wide and 1.33 km deep. The enemy with infantry units conducts assault actions in the southern part of Bogdanivka, attacking from the territory of the leafy forest, where additional forces were previously deployed. South of Bogdanivka and in the southern part of the village, the enemy has managed to consolidate on a front up to 1.6 km wide and 750 meters deep. Heavy fightings continue for Bogdanivka and the leafy forest. Enemy armored groups, consisting of 23 soldiers, supported by tanks and 4 APCs, attempt to storm the positions of the defense forces north of the Lenopilla. Thanks to the coordinated efforts of the Phoenix unit of the Pomsta Brigade, the attack was successfully repelled. Chasiv Yar itself is systematically destroyed by the Russians with aviation bombs. The word of warrior from the 46th Brigade fighting in the eastern Ukraine. If we do not solve the issue with FAB airstrikes, then Chasiv Yar will join the list of cities first completely destroyed and then abandoned. At the strategic level, the decision is also one: obtain long-range air defense systems from allies, including F-16 aircrafts, the arrival of which everyone is eagerly awaiting. And here a few words about the situation on the area from the pro-Russian chat. There is a large number of Ukrainian FPV drones in this sector on the front. On the Avdiivka direction, the enemy continues assault action east of Novokalinove. A grey zone has been added. A counterattack by Ukrainian forces with the support of M2 Bradley to dislodge the enemy from the recently occupied landing site east of Novokalinove. In the area of Berdychi, Semeniivka and southeast of Umansky, there are no significant changes. Unit Alestar of the 25th Airborne Brigade eliminates Russian infantry with FPV drones and finished off an abandoned Russian 90M tank in the Umansky area. Somewhere in this same area, the Russian soldier was captured. He says that for around $2,000 a month, he is ready to participate in such intense, meaty assault. West of Vodene, Russian forces are attempting to improve their tactical position in the ravine area. Ukrainian armed forces attack the enemy at the point indicated on the map. On the Kurakhova direction, the enemy has resumed assault operations in the vicinity of the town of Krasnogorivka, launching a series of attacks from the east, from Staromikhailivka, and the south from the territory of the Trudovak coal mine. Ukrainian armed forces inflicted fire damage on the enemy in the area of Vatutin Street. Battle continue. Mechanized attack by Russian on Krasnogorivka in two waves. The first attack, with at least 8 units of equipment, managed to reach the cemetery and orthodoxly went straight through the graves. 3 units reached the first residential buildings on the eastern outskirts of the settlement. There they engaged in some fighting and in quantity of 2 units retreated. But in the second wave, the Russians did analyze their mistakes and rolled out that tank turtle, which I mentioned earlier, to the head of the second column, 4 units in total, mostly tanks. The second wave took a slightly different road, bypassing the cemetery from the south, but here too the attack was successfully repelled, and the turtle, along with another tank, returned to their original position. The tank turtle was later destroyed. In Novomikhailivka, the enemy has partial succeed along Sevchenko and Timiryazeva Street, advancing up to 200 meters in depth. Repulsion of the Russian mechanized attack on the northern outskirts of Novomikhailivka. And to conclude this episode, I would like to share with you the heartfelt plea of Andrew Perpetua, addressed to Russia. For those who don't know, Andrew meticulously kept track of the destroyed equipment in the war, carefully examining all photos and videos, so he more than anyone else sees all these losses. Dear Russian, please stop, just go home. You are being killed every single day. Just go home. I sit here and watch as a squad of infantry comes under the fire from 9 cluster munition in a row, and I think only one guy survived. Imagine if these 30 guys had stayed home instead. We see so much crap every single day. Every day many Russians die. There is neither honor nor glory in all of this. Every time we see a Russian die, we just note it. Weapon, FPV drone, target, infantry, and then we move on to the next. And this is probably the most attention a Russian soldier gets. This is your reward for fighting on the side of a dictator who is destroying your country. And that wraps up today's video. If you found this information helpful or somehow insightful, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!